and kind of like the United States is kind of making it harder, like, immigration wise, which is kind of contradictory, but talk about the most common culture mistakes leaders make.
Some of the most common mistakes that I see would be that they think like a carpenter instead of thinking like a farmer. So one of the analogies that I make is that if a leader can think of themselves as a culture farmer versus someone who is trying to build the culture. So here's what I mean by common mistakes is leaders who leverage force, control, and speed. That's a mistake when it comes to culture. What I mean by that is if they're thinking like a carpenter and they're going to build the culture and they're going to lay a foundation for culture, a carpenter can, screw together and nail together wood, they can weld things together, if you're working in construction, and they can use force in order to build something. Well, culture is really, it's about human beings, and human beings do not respond well to force when they're being forced to do something. So here's one example is there's a friend of mine who works for an IT company, and he has been asked to be part of their culture committee. And this culture committee is basically put in place to drive the culture that they want, that the C-suite wants from the top down through the organization. And I'm just like, wow, that ain't gonna work. That's it. Culture's not a top-down thing. It's an organic, growing up from the bottom, and it's we'll see how that goes. So when I see leaders put together things like culture committees, and it is to, like I said, instill something from the top down, trying to force culture into the organization, that's one mistake. Because they're also trying to leverage the second thing, which is control, meaning that they can control what type of culture is going to be in the organization. That you got to let loose of that control. It's my dad, when he would plant seeds in the ground, he couldn't go out there and like grab hold of a corn stalk and pull it up out of the ground, make it grow faster. Right. He couldn't, he also couldn't really control the results that he could get. The best he could do is try to cultivate, the corn in his field to the best of his ability. And, at the end of the day, just pray for rain sometimes. And if leaders are leveraging force and control and think they can drive culture down into organization, that's bad. And then finally, speed.